Commander Ethan Wright stared at the holographic display as another human colony disappeared from the map. The red dots of enemy ships swarmed like hungry insects over New Horizon. Every human ship in the sector was gone, replaced by the cold, emotionless markers of Vorkath warships. "Colony lost, sir. New Horizon has fallen," said Lieutenant Kate Bailey, her voice hollow as she delivered the news everyone in the command center already knew. Ethan closed his eyes for a moment. 5 million civilians, 10,000 soldiers, all gone in less than 6 hours. He reopened them to the same terrible reality. "Play the final transmission," he ordered. The crackling voice of Colonel Frank Peters filled the room. "This is New Horizon Command to any Terran Alliance vessels. We are overrun. Vorkath forces have breached all defensive lines. Civilian evacuations only reached 20% completion. We cannot hold. I repeat, we cannot hold. If anyone receives this..." The message cut off in a burst of static. Ethan's fists tightened. 3 years of war against the Vorkath Empire, and humanity had yet to win a single major battle. The aliens were too organized, too efficient. Their hive mind allowed perfect coordination that human forces couldn't match. "Sir, Admiral Foster is calling an emergency meeting," said Kate, touching her earpiece. "All remaining command staff. 10 minutes." The command center of the space station Liberty Point was nearly empty now. Of the original 12 officers assigned to this strategic planning hub, only 4 remained. The others had all requested transfers to combat positions. They wanted to die fighting rather than watch humanity's slow defeat from behind screens. Ethan walked down the curved hallway to the conference room, passing screens showing the status of the war. 12 star systems were marked with human flags when the war began. Now only 5 remained, and 3 of those were flashing yellow, under imminent threat. Admiral Linda Foster was already seated when Ethan arrived. Her gray hair was pulled back tightly, her face lined with exhaustion. At 62, she had postponed her retirement when the Vorkath arrived. Now she might be the last admiral humanity would ever have. "Commander Wright," she nodded as he sat down. The other officers filed in silently. "I'll be brief," Admiral Foster said once everyone was seated. "We've lost the Orient sector. New Horizon is gone. Jensen's Pride and Arcadia colonies are being evacuated, but we expect only 30% of civilians will make it out before Vorkath forces arrive." A holographic map appeared above the table, showing the retreat of human forces across the stars. "How did this happen?" asked Major Greg Winters, his voice tight with anger. "New Horizon had our newest defense systems. They were supposed to hold for at least a month. The Vorkath adapted," said Ethan, pulling up the battle data. "They deployed a new type of shield-piercing weapon we've never seen before. Our defenses were useless within minutes. That's the 3rd time they've countered our technology before we even fully deployed it," said Colonel Patricia Duncan, the oldest officer after Foster. "It's like they can read our minds." "Or our transmissions," said Ethan. Foster's eyes narrowed. "All our communications are encrypted with quantum algorithms," which didn't help New Horizon, Ethan replied. The room fell silent. Outside the viewport, Earth gleamed blue and green. Their last hope. Their final stand. "Earth Defense Council is voting tomorrow on whether to attempt peace negotiations," Foster said finally. "Peace," Greg scoffed. "The Vorkath don't negotiate. They've ignored every attempt at communication, except to demand unconditional surrender." "Then what do you suggest, Major?" Foster asked sharply. "We need something they haven't seen before," Ethan said before Greg could answer. "Our conventional tactics aren't working. We need to be unpredictable." Foster nodded slowly. "I received a message from Dr. Abigail Dawson at the Military Science Division. She has a proposal she says could change everything. I'm meeting her after this." "Another weapon?" Patricia asked. "No," Foster said. "Something else. Something called Project Nemesis." Ethan looked back at the holographic display. Billions dead. Humanity on the edge of extinction. Whatever Project Nemesis was, it had better be good. They were running out of options and time. Dismissed, Foster said. And may God help us all. Dr. Abigail Dawson paced the length of her lab, her footsteps echoing against the metal floor. Screens covered the walls, each displaying data about the Vorkath enemy, their movements, biology, and battle patterns. After 3 years of studying them, she had reached a terrible conclusion. Conventional warfare could not defeat them. The door slid open, and Admiral Foster entered with Commander Wright close behind. Dr. Dawson, Foster said, explain Project Nemesis, and skip the technical jargon. We're losing a colony every week. Abigail gestured to a brain scan on the main screen. The Vorkath's advantage is their hive mind. They think as one, move as one. Perfect coordination. She swiped to a human brain scan. We think as individuals. That's been our weakness, but it could be our strength. How? Asked Ethan. Project Nemesis, Abigail said, pulling up a new image. It showed a small device, no larger than a coin. Neural implants that would allow a small team of soldiers to connect their minds in combat, while maintaining human unpredictability. Foster frowned. Mind-linking technology has been tried before. The results were unstable. This is different, Abigail insisted. We don't want a hive mind. We want a perfect team. Each member thinking independently, but instantly aware of the other's actions and thoughts. No need for radio communication. No signals to intercept. What's the catch? Ethan asked. Abigail hesitated. We need specific types of soldiers. The implant connects emotions as well as thoughts. We need people who can function under extreme pressure, who can make ruthless decisions without hesitation. You want killers, Foster said bluntly. I want survivors, Abigail corrected. And I already have a candidate to lead them. She tapped her screen, and a military file appeared. The face of a man with hard eyes and a scar running down his cheek filled the display. Captain Jason Holt, she said. Special Forces. Highest kill count in the war so far. His methods are efficient. I know Holt, Ethan said. He disobeyed orders during the Battle of Proxima to ambush a Vorkath supply line instead of falling back. Killed 300 of them with just his squad of 6. Also got 2 of his men killed. He's currently awaiting court-martial for excessive force against Vorkath prisoners. Abigail added. He claims he was extracting intelligence. He was, Foster said quietly, intelligence that saved a civilian transport. The brass buried that part. He's exactly what we need, Abigail said. Someone who understands that winning this war might require crossing lines. Foster was silent for a long moment. The Ethics Committee will never approve this. With respect, Admiral, Ethan said, the Ethics Committee isn't watching their worlds burn. Foster looked at the display showing the remaining human colonies. 3 more were now flashing red. How long to assemble this team and make them operational? She asked finally. 4 weeks for recruitment and implantation. Another 2 for training, Abigail replied. We might not have 6 weeks, Ethan warned. Then I'll do it in 4, Abigail said firmly. But I need authorization now, and I need Captain Holt released to my custody. Foster straightened her uniform. Commander Wright, find me a secure line to Earth Defense Headquarters. I'll get your authorization, Doctor, but I want one addition to your team. Who? Abigail asked. Navy Lieutenant Samantha Woods. She's been studying Vorkath behavior patterns for 2 years. If anyone can help predict their movements, it's her. Abigail nodded. I'll add her to the list. As Foster left to make her call, Ethan stayed behind. Doctor, are you sure these implants are safe? Abigail looked at him directly. No, nothing about this is safe, but neither is extinction. On a screen behind her, the file of Jason Holt remained open. His service record noted, extreme efficiency in combat situations, psychological evaluation recommended. Bring him in, Abigail said, her voice firm. "It's time humanity fought back with everything we have." Outside the station viewport, distant flashes of light marked another battle in the outer system. Another likely defeat. Time was running out. Captain Jason Holt stood in the underground military facility, looking at the 5 soldiers lined up before him. Each had been pulled from different units, different battles, and in one case, a military prison. They were humanity's last hope, though they looked more like its last resort. "You all know why you're here," Jason said, his voice carrying in the concrete room. "The brass is calling this Project Nemesis. I'm calling it our only chance to hit back at the Vorkith." He walked down the line, stopping at a tall man with close-cropped hair and a permanent scowl. "Eric Daniels, demolitions expert. Served 5 years until you used too much explosive on a Vorkith outpost. Killed the aliens and 3 of your own men." Eric's jaw tightened. The blast radius was calculated correctly. "My commander moved our forces in too soon." Jason nodded and moved on to a woman with sharp eyes and steady hands. "Grace Powell, best sniper in the North American forces. 47 confirmed Vorkith kills in one day at the Battle of Armstrong Base." 48, Grace corrected quietly. "They never found the last one." Jason continued to a lean man with dark hair. "Noah Martinez, infiltration specialist. You went into Vorkith territory alone after your squad was killed. Came back 3 days later with the head of a Vorkith commander." Noah said nothing, just stared straight ahead. "Olivia Klein," Jason said, stopping before a short woman with quick, nervous movements. "You crashed an entire Vorkith communications network from your hospital bed after being wounded at New Washington Colony." Olivia gave a slight smile. It was easier than the doctors thought it would be. Jason moved to the last person, a broad-shouldered man with a burn scar across his neck. "Daniel Carter, heavy weapons specialist. Dishonorably discharged for disobeying a direct order during the evacuation of Titan Base. I went back for civilians instead of securing the weapons depot," Daniel said. "I'd do it again." Jason stepped back, looking at them all. "Each of you has broken rules, disobeyed orders, or crossed lines. And each of you has hurt the Vorkith more than entire battalions. That's why you're here." Lieutenant Samantha Woods entered the room, carrying a case. Her uniform was perfectly pressed, making her look out of place among the battle-worn soldiers. "This is Lieutenant Woods," Jason said. "She's studied the Vorkith longer than anyone. She'll be our tactical advisor and neural coordinator," Samantha added, placing the case on a table and opening it. Inside were 6 small devices, each no bigger than a coin. "These implants will link your minds during combat operations. You'll know what each team member is thinking, seeing, and planning without saying a word." A murmur ran through the soldiers. "I'm not becoming some hive mind like those aliens," Eric said, backing away. "You won't," Dr. Dawson said, entering from a side door. "The implants maintain your individuality, but they allow instant communication and coordination. The perfect balance of Vorkith efficiency with human creativity." "Does it hurt?" Olivia asked, eyeing the devices. "Yes," Dr. Dawson said simply. "The integration process is painful, but once complete, you'll be the most effective fighting force humanity has ever produced." Jason picked up one of the implants. "I'm going first. Anyone who wants to walk away, now's your chance." No one moved. "Good," Jason said, "because I read your files. None of you have family left. The Vorkith took them all. This is your chance for payback." In a medical room adjacent to the briefing area, Jason lay on an operating table as Dr. Dawson prepared the implant. "This will hurt more than anything you've ever felt," she warned. "Your mind will fight against the foreign presence." Jason gripped the edges of the table. "Just do it." As the device touched the base of his skull, pain exploded through his body. His back arched, his mouth opened in a silent scream. Inside his mind, something new awakened, a space that had never existed before, waiting to be filled with the thoughts of his team. When the pain subsided, Jason sat up, touching the small bump at the base of his skull. "How do you feel?" Dr. Dawson asked. Jason's eyes had a new intensity, ready to make the Vorkith regret ever coming to our galaxy. Europa Station hung in space above Jupiter, its lights dim and emergency beacons flashing. Once a critical refueling station for human fleets, it now served as a Vorkath stronghold, controlling access to Jupiter's valuable resources. Retaking it was essential for any human counteroffensive. Lieutenant Ryan Cooper looked at the tactical display with growing concern. His orders were clear: monitor the newly formed Wraith Squad from a safe distance while they waited for reinforcements before attacking. "Sir, I'm getting unusual readings from Wraith Squad's shuttle," said his communications officer. Ryan frowned. "What kind of readings?" "They're moving, sir, heading toward the station." "That's impossible," Ryan said. "Their orders were to hold position for 12 hours. Reinforcements are still 10 hours out." He grabbed the comm unit. "Captain Holt, this is Lieutenant Cooper. Return to holding position immediately." "That's an order." Static answered him. Then Jason's voice came through, unnaturally calm. "Sorry, Lieutenant. The Vorkath are rotating their guard shifts now. We won't get a better chance. You have no authorization. Stand down." The line went dead. On the small stealth shuttle, Jason and his team sat in perfect silence, their minds connected through the neural implants. No words were needed. Each knew exactly what the others would do when they boarded the station. Grace checked her rifle one last time. Noah secured his combat knife. Eric counted his explosive charges. Daniel loaded his heavy plasma cannon. Olivia reviewed the station's schematics in her mind, which instantly shared with the others through their neural link. Samantha sat separate from them, monitoring their neural activity. "Your synchronization is at 93%, she said, "higher than we expected for a first mission." None of the squad responded verbally. Their linked minds acknowledged her words with a collective thought that felt like a nod. The shuttle docked silently at an emergency airlock. Within seconds, they moved through the station's dark corridors like shadows. Through their linked consciousness, each soldier knew exactly where the others were without looking. They could sense what each teammate saw and felt. The first Vorkath patrol never saw them coming. Noah's knife sliced through the alien's chitinous neck, while Grace's rifle took down the second with a whisper-quiet shot. They didn't speak. They didn't need to. Eric placed explosives at key structural points, knowing exactly where to put them from Olivia's mental map. Daniel covered their advance with his heavy weapon, taking down a group of Vorkath with brutal efficiency. The squad moved deeper into the station. Through their shared awareness, they discovered something unexpected. The Vorkath were afraid. The alien's hive mind was experiencing something new, uncertainty about what the humans would do next. Jason made a decision that flowed instantly to the others through the neural link. They would use that fear. The squad began leaving Vorkath bodies arranged in specific patterns, formations that would be visible to other Vorkath and disrupt their hive mind's sense of order. It was psychological warfare against a species that had never experienced it before. When they reached the central control room, they found it heavily defended. 20 Vorkath soldiers waited behind barricades, their weapons trained on the only entrance. Without speaking, the squad split up. Eric's explosives blew a hole in the ceiling. Grace fired through the new opening, taking down the Vorkath commanders. Noah dropped into the chaos, moving like water between the aliens. Daniel's heavy weapon cleared a path for Jason and Olivia to reach the main controls. Within minutes, every Vorkath in the control room was dead, and Olivia was restoring human control to the station systems. Back on the command ship, Lieutenant Ryan Cooper watched in stunned silence as the Europa Station's lights came back on, one section at a time. The impossible mission had taken less than 40 minutes. "Get me Admiral Foster," he said to his communications officer. "She needs to see this." When the squad returned to their shuttle, their neural link still humming with shared consciousness, Jason finally spoke aloud. "Wraith Squad's first mission complete. Europa Station is ours. What troubled Ryan, as he filed his report, wasn't just their efficiency, it was the way they'd arranged the Vorkath bodies. Like warnings, like messages meant to terrify. He added a recommendation for psychiatric evaluation of the entire squad. Whatever these neural implants had created, it wasn't entirely human anymore. News of Europa Station's recapture spread quickly through the remaining human colonies. For the first time in years, people began to hope. Wraith's squad became a symbol of resistance, though few knew the truth about how they operated. Admiral Foster stood before the Earth Defense Council, the success giving her renewed confidence. The holographic displays showed the squad's achievements over the past 2 weeks. 3 Vorkath outposts destroyed, a supply line disrupted, and a prisoner extraction that yielded valuable intelligence. The program works, Foster said firmly. I recommend immediate approval for 5 more Neuralink squads. General Alan Peters, head of the council, looked skeptical. The reports from Lieutenant Cooper are concerning. He describes methods that border on war crimes. With respect, General, Foster replied, the Vorkath don't recognize our laws of war. They've shown no mercy to civilian populations. That doesn't mean we abandon our humanity, said Counselor Julia Rivera, the lone civilian voice. Dr. Dawson stepped forward. The neural implants don't remove their humanity. They enhance coordination while preserving human unpredictability. It's precisely this combination that confuses the Vorkath hive mind. Meanwhile, aboard the military vessel Swift Justice, Wraith's squad prepared for their most dangerous mission yet. Intelligence had located a Vorkath command ship carrying fleet movement plans for their next major attack. Jason studied the holographic model of the target ship, his mind connected to his team's. Each member contributed their expertise through the neural link, building a complete picture of the mission. The risk is too high, Samantha said, standing apart from their mental connection. The ship has over 300 Vorkath on board, which is why they won't expect 5 humans to board them, Jason replied. Olivia's thoughts flickered with data calculations that the others could sense. I can disable their internal sensors for 6 minutes once we're aboard. Not longer. 6 minutes is enough, came Noah's cold confidence through the link. Dr. Dawson entered the briefing room, her face showing concern. Your neural scans are showing increased aggression, Captain. All of you. The implants may be amplifying certain emotional states. The squad members exchanged glances, a redundant gesture when their minds were linked, but a human habit that persisted. Is it affecting our performance? Jason asked. No. Your efficiency is actually improving. But there may be long-term psychological effects we didn't anticipate. Grace's thought cut through the link with surprising sharpness. We're already damaged goods, Doctor. That's why you chose us. Dr. Dawson looked troubled but didn't argue. She'd selected them precisely because they could handle what others couldn't. Hours later, Wraith Squad's stealth shuttle approached the massive Vorkath command ship. The aliens had no idea humans had developed cloaking technology that could hide small vessels. It was one of many secrets kept even from most military personnel. Their boarding was perfect, a precision cut through the outer hull in a blind spot between sensor arrays. Once inside, they moved as one organism with 5 bodies, their shared consciousness allowing them to predict and react to threats before they appeared. They encountered a Vorkath officer alone in a corridor. Rather than killing it immediately, Noah grabbed the alien and Grace injected it with a compound Olivia had developed, a chemical that confused the hive-mind connection. Jason questioned it brutally, using knowledge of Vorkath physiology that Samantha had provided. The alien's mind, cut off from the hive, broke quickly. It revealed the location of the ship's data core and the command codes to access it. When they reached the data core, Olivia connected directly to the Vorkath systems, downloading fleet movements while the others formed a defensive perimeter. Daniel's heavy weapon cut down waves of Vorkath soldiers that responded to the breach. Eric's explosives cleared their escape route, creating chaos throughout the ship. As they fought their way back to the extraction point, the squad moved with increasing savagery, using tactics that shocked even the Vorkath. Back on Earth, news networks began reporting on Wraith Squad's successes. Military recruitment soared. Public debates raged about the ethics of using human monsters to fight alien monsters. As one commentator put it, Admiral Foster defended the program publicly. In times of extinction-level threat, we must use every weapon at our disposal. What she didn't say was that Dr. Dawson's latest report sat unread on her desk, its warning clear in the title. Neural implant stability. Critical concerns. Noah saw the faces of dead Vorkath in his dreams. Except they weren't his dreams. They belonged to Grace, her memories of sniper kills bleeding into his mind through the neural link. The implants were supposed to disconnect when they slept, but lately the boundaries had begun to blur. He woke with a start in his quarters aboard the Swift Justice. His hand shook as he reached for water. The cup slipped, shattering on the floor. "You're seeing them too." Eric stood in the doorway, his eyes hollow from lack of sleep. Grace's kills, Daniel's fear, Olivia's numbers. Noah nodded. "The link isn't shutting down properly." "Dr. Dawson wants to see us all," Eric said. Something about recalibration. In the medical lab, the entire squad sat in neural scanning chairs. Dr. Dawson studied the results with growing concern while Samantha stood nearby, taking notes. "The implants are creating stronger connections than we anticipated," Dr. Dawson explained. "Your minds are remaining partially linked even outside of missions." "Is that why I keep seeing code sequences I never learned?" Jason asked. Olivia looked up. "Those are mine. I've been working on breaking a new Vorkath encryption, and I keep feeling phantom pain in my left hand," Grace said. "But it's not my hand that hurts." "It's mine," Daniel admitted. "Old injury from Titan Base." Dr. Dawson adjusted settings on her console. "I'm recalibrating the implants to create stronger boundaries. This should help separate your consciousness when not in combat." While she worked, General William Harris entered the lab, his uniform crisp and decorated with medals he'd earned in the early days of the war, before the endless defeats. "We've located a Vorkath breeding facility on Mars Colony," Harris announced without preamble. "You deploy in 6 hours." Dr. Dawson stood up. "General, I've just begun recalibrating their implants. They need at least 24 hours for the adjustments to stabilize." "The facility will be relocated by then," Harris replied coldly. "This is our only chance to strike." "Their neural stability is compromised," Dr. Dawson insisted. "They're experiencing dangerous levels of personality bleed-through." "Can they fight?" Harris asked. "Yes, but..." "Then they deploy in 6 hours." The general turned to leave, then paused. "The implant program is being expanded. 5 more squads begin neural integration next week. Your work is saving humanity, Doctor. Remember that." After he left, Jason looked at Dr. Dawson. "What happens if we go on a mission before the recalibration is complete?" "Best case, more bleed-through of memories and emotions," she said. "Worst case, possible hallucinations, confusion between your identity and your teammates, maybe even psychotic episodes." The squad exchanged glances. Through their partially linked minds, each felt the other's unease. "We've handled worse," Grace said, though her confidence felt hollow. 6 hours later, their shuttle approached the surface of Mars. The red planet had once held humanity's largest off-Earth colony. Now Vorkath structures covered much of the surface, alien and threatening. As they prepared to land near the breeding facility, Olivia gasped suddenly. "Wait," she said, her eyes unfocused as she accessed information through her neural implant. "I found something in the Vorkath data we captured. Something they were hiding." "What is it?" Samantha asked. "The Vorkath weren't always like this," Olivia said. "Their genetic structure shows signs of modification. They were engineered for war." "By who?" Jason demanded. "I don't know yet, but they're not naturally aggressive. Someone changed them." Noah felt a strange buzzing in his mind as they approached the landing zone. The other's thoughts pressed against his own, their boundaries weakening. He saw a human figure where none should be, a child standing among the Vorkath structures. "There's a survivor," he said, pointing. "A human child." The others looked where he pointed. "Noah, there's nothing there," Jason said carefully. Noah blinked, and the child vanished. A hallucination, just as Dr. Dawson had warned. As they prepared to disembark, Jason's thoughts reached them all through the neural link. His doubt and growing moral conflict were clear. If the Vorkath were victims too, what were they really fighting for? But there was no time to consider the question. The mission had begun, and Mars Colony's Vorkath breeding facility awaited their ruthless efficiency, even as their minds began to fracture from within. The Mars mission changed everything. Though Wraith's squad destroyed the breeding facility, the cost was nearly too high. Noah's hallucinations had worsened during the fighting. He almost killed a human scientist the Vorkath had kept as a prisoner, mistaking her for an enemy until Grace tackled him to the ground. Back on the Swift Justice, Admiral Foster and Dr. Dawson reviewed the mission footage with growing concern. The implants need to be removed. Dr. Dawson insisted. Their minds are becoming too interconnected. They're losing their individual identities. "We can't remove them now," Foster replied. "Intelligence just located the Vorkath overseer." Dr. Dawson froze. The central consciousness, the one controlling their entire war effort. Foster nodded, bringing up a holographic map, hidden in an asteroid base at the edge of the solar system. "This is what we've been waiting for. Cut off the head, and the body dies." "My team can't handle another mission in their current state," Dr. Dawson argued. "Noah almost killed a civilian. Jason is questioning every order. The others aren't much better." "Then fix them," Foster said firmly. "You have 3 days." In the ship's medical bay, Dr. Dawson worked frantically to stabilize the neural implants, while Samantha monitored the squad's vital signs. The team lay in medical pods, their minds still partially connected even in sedation. "Their brainwave patterns are synchronizing even more deeply," Samantha noted with worry. "It's like they're becoming one mind with 5 bodies." "We need to strengthen the partition protocols," Dr. Dawson said, making adjustments to her equipment. "If we can't remove the implants, we at least need to give them better control." When the squad awoke from sedation, they gathered in the briefing room to learn about their next mission. Jason noticed immediately that something felt different in his mind. The constant presence of his teammates' thoughts had become more organized, less intrusive. "The recalibration seems to be working," he said to Dr. Dawson. "For now," she replied. "But these are temporary measures. After this mission, the implants must come out." Admiral Foster entered, accompanied by Commander Wright. "This is our chance to end the war," Foster said without preamble. "The Vorkath Overseer controls their entire hive mind. Eliminate it, and their forces will fall into chaos." Holographic images showed a heavily fortified asteroid base surrounded by Vorkath warships. "This is a suicide mission," Eric said flatly. "Probably," Foster admitted. "That's why it's volunteer only." Without hesitation, all 5 members of Wraith's squad stood. Through their link, each felt the other's resolve and their fear. "We'll need a way past those ships," Jason said. "We have that covered," Commander Wright replied. "We captured a small Vorkath shuttle during your Mars operation. You'll approach using their own transportation." 48 hours later, Wraith's squad piloted the alien shuttle toward the asteroid base. Their minds were linked more deeply than ever before, functioning almost as a single entity while maintaining individual specialties. "Something's wrong," Olivia thought through the link. "The Vorkath ships aren't challenging us. They think we're one of them." Noah replied, his thoughts steadier after Dr. Dawson's recalibration. "No," Grace thought back. "They know exactly who we are. They're letting us in." The realization spread through their shared consciousness. This was too easy. The Overseer wanted them to come. The shuttle docked at the asteroid base without resistance, As they moved through the alien corridors, they encountered only token opposition, enough to be convincing, but not enough to stop them. "This is wrong," Jason thought to the others. "We're being herded." They reached a massive chamber at the center of the base. The neural link between them suddenly flared with unexpected intensity. Their minds expanded beyond the confines of their implants, briefly touching something vast and alien, the Vorkath hive mind itself. In that moment of connection, they saw the truth. Images flooded their shared consciousness. The Vorkath as peaceful explorers, their genetic structure being forcibly modified, their minds enslaved to a controlling intelligence. Their victims, Daniel thought, the realization hitting them all simultaneously, just like us. At the center of the chamber stood a containment field. Inside was not a Vorkath as they had expected, but a being unlike anything they had seen before, tall, with iridescent skin and eyes that held ancient intelligence. "Welcome, humans," the being said in perfect English. "I am the last of the architects. I've been waiting for minds that could understand." The architect's voice resonated in their minds as well as their ears. "My kind created the neural technology your species now uses. We developed it to communicate across vast distances of space." Jason kept his weapon trained on the alien being. "Why are you controlling the Vorkath? Why make them attack us?" "My kind is nearly extinct," the architect explained. "We needed a new home. Earth is perfect, but humans would resist direct invasion. The Vorkath are our tools. They weaken you so we can take your world with minimal damage." Through their neural link, the squad shared a unified anger at this cold calculation. Billions of human lives reduced to an inconvenience. "You sacrificed 2 species for your comfort," Grace said, her sniper rifle unwavering. "Many species rise and fall. The universe is vast and uncaring." The architect replied, "Your implants are already changing you. Soon you will understand our perspective." Olivia suddenly gasped as information flowed through her mind. The neural technology. It's not just for communication. It's how they've controlled the Vorkath. The realization spread through their linked consciousness. The same technology helping them fight was a more advanced version of what enslaved the Vorkath. Jason received the urgent signal from Admiral Foster through his comm device. "Captain Holt, destroy the Overseer immediately." "That's a direct order." The squad's neural link buzzed with conflicting thoughts. Their mission was clear, but the truth was more complex than anyone had imagined. "We need to end this war," Eric thought to the others. "By following orders or thinking for ourselves?" Daniel questioned back. Jason made his decision. He lowered his weapon. "We're not going to kill you. We're going to expose you." The architect's eyes narrowed. "The neural link cannot be broken. The Vorkath will continue fighting. Your people will die." "Maybe not," Samantha said, stepping forward. "Olivia, can you reverse the control signal? Free the Vorkath instead of destroying them." Olivia's mind raced through possibilities that the others could feel through their link. "Yes, but I'd need direct access to the control systems." "Which I will not allow," the architect said, raising a hand. A wave of energy pushed them back. Noah moved with blinding speed, sliding under the energy wave and reaching the control console. The others provided cover, their movements perfectly synchronized through the neural link. "Now, Olivia," Jason shouted as Noah secured the console. Olivia connected her neural implant directly to the architect's systems. Pain coursed through her body, but the others supported her through their linked minds, sharing the burden. "Broadcasting now," she gasped, "sending the truth to all Vorkath and all human forces." The architect lunged toward her, but Daniel intercepted, taking a serious wound to protect her. Through their neural link, they all felt his pain, yet they maintained focus. Throughout the solar system, the Vorkath suddenly stopped fighting. Human commanders watched in confusion as alien ships powered down weapon systems. In the asteroid base, Jason approached the architect, who had fallen to its knees as its control over the Vorkath dissolved. "Your war is over," Jason said. But we won't kill you. Unlike you, we don't destroy entire species for convenience. 3 weeks later, on a space station orbiting Earth, peace talks began between humans and the freed Vorketh. The two former enemies found common ground in their shared victimization by the architects. In a quiet observation room, Wraith's squad watched the proceedings. Dr. Dawson had tried 3 times to remove their neural implants, but the technology had integrated too deeply with their minds. "What happens to us now?" Grace asked, looking at her teammates. "We don't fit in normal society anymore," Eric said. "Not with what we've done. Not with our minds linked like this." Admiral Foster entered the room. "I have a proposal. The border between human and Vorkath space will need peacekeepers. People who understand both sides. People who can be ruthless when necessary. You want us to become space cops?" Noah asked with a small smile. "I want you to become what you choose to be," Foster replied. "For the first time since this war began." Jason looked out at the Earth below, then at his team. The people who now shared his mind, his memories, his future. "We'll take the job," he said. "Our ruthlessness started a war. Maybe it can preserve a peace." Samantha joined them by the viewport, watching human and Vorkath ships passing peacefully through the jump gate. "Was it worth it?" she asked quietly. "Sacrificing your humanity to save humanity?" Jason didn't answer immediately. Through the neural link, his teammates felt his complex emotions, regret for what they'd done, pride in what they'd accomplished, uncertainty about what they'd become. "Ask me again in 100 years, he finally said. "If this peace lasts, then yes, it was worth everything."